Hey guys, so I'm just going to give this lesson straight up and do your best. So my first question is, so we're talking about gene expression. This is how genes show themselves. Genes, remember, are a certain piece of the DNA that had the instructions on how to make all the various proteins that make us human. So please tell me, if there was a clone of you, all right, would it be just like you? And explain. So you can pause the video right now and answer that question on your document. You should have the document open that is with the questions. Well, so if you had a clone, all right, here I have Jevlin, all right. So usually twins, identical twins, are natural clones of each other. All right. They're absolutely natural clones. They may look very much alike, but they're probably very different. Okay. Because as life goes on, they experience different things that in the environment that would cause them to be a little different than each other. An environment can cause genes to be turned on or off. In other words, they are expressed or not expressed. All right. If you have blue eyes, that's because that gene is expressed. I, for example, have brown eyes, but I know I have the blue-eyed gene, but it's not expressing itself because I have brown eyes. All right. Blue-eyed gene is recessive, so I don't express that. So this is supposed to be a group activity, but what I want you to write down is your thoughts. Okay. Imagine two identical twin boys. They're separated at birth, and they get reunited 65 years later when they're 65 years old. They, of course, look pretty similar. I want you to describe the various ways they might be different, and then tell me why, what happened during their life, what was in their environment that maybe could be the reason for that difference. Okay? Think about it. All right? They're separated at birth. They go to wherever, other places. They don't grow up in the same town. They grow up maybe different parts of the world. What are some things? Give me 2 or 3 things that would be different about them and what it was that made them different from each other. So why don't you pause the video and answer that question. Well, things you might have said could be that maybe their skin color was different because maybe one of them grew up north, maybe in Canada, didn't get a lot of sun, they have very light skin. Maybe somebody else grew up down in the Caribbean islands and got a lot of sun and was very tan, had light color hair. Maybe one of them has cancer, a disease, and one of them doesn't because one of them smoked. Maybe one is bigger than the other because of the amount of food they got. Okay, there's various things. Here I give this little thing. These 2 young girls, they're much older now. This is from a while ago, but they were separated at birth. Even then, they look a little different than each other, but they were identical twins. They were separated at birth. The parents believe that doctors took them. A little odd. Here you have a couple of twins, also looking a little different. This one, these 2 women were separated for 35 years. They met in their mid 30s. Tell me what you notice different about them. What do you notice between the two? They're identical twins. What do you notice? Give me a couple things you might notice that seems a little different about them. Some things are obvious, some things not so obvious. You gotta look a little closer. Okay. Try that. What do you think? Well, A lot of people say, well, obviously the hair is darker, but clearly, I think a lot of people notice this woman here looks younger than this one. We're just wondering, what was it possibly in the environment where this woman on the right was compared to her twin sister? Maybe she spent more time out in the sun or has more stress in her life, something. But she looks older. People notice like maybe she has a little more wrinkles. I think this one definitely looks like an older sister than this. It's kind of hard to believe they're actually identical twins, but the environment can cause that change. Let me go here. So we talk about licking the rats, nutrition and genome. This is some interesting stuff. What you eat is very important. All right, ladies, when you're pregnant with a child, it can actually affect what happens with your child. Here they have a whole thing about a mouse. All right, these two mice are supposed to be identical genetically, but when they're fed different things, the one mouse becomes obese, prone to cancer, and actually becomes a different color. Here they are in real life. Okay, so they're actually genetically identical, but they've been given different foods, and this is what has happened to them. So food is something in the environment that can cause issues. Here's another thing here, talking about what people ate, people who were well fed or not. I know I give this story about during World War II, there were children, people who were starving during World War II for like 18 months. And it changed them. Their body became better at, dealing with the small amounts of food. When they went and had children, it actually changed the epigenome of the children, and the children actually, in the one I'm talking about, a little different than this, actually ended up gaining more weight because they inherited these epigenome that caused them to hold on to food more often. So they ended up putting on more weight. Here's a good example, like queen bees. To create a queen bees are genetically identical to the other female bees, but to create a queen, they feed them royal jelly. And it actually gives them, they develop ovaries, they egg layer, all right. It changes their behavior, they kill other queens, they make certain communication sounds. So, what you eat is an important part of your environment. Now, not that one. Here's some other examples. Here's a Himalayan bunny. In the warmer weather, the bunny stays like this, but when it gets cold, it gets darker features. All right. Notice its ears and nose get that dark color. Why don't you tell me what you think it is? Why? What would be the benefit of having these darker features in the cold weather? Okay, if you said it does a better job of when it absorbs the sun and the heat, because the ears and nose and feet are what get cold first. So keeping those warm is helpful. Here's a harp seal. When a harp seal is a baby, it stays a white color. Okay. Here's the adult seal. You notice the adult seal is dark on top and has this splotchy on the bottom, and that's so when it's swimming down, if something's above it, it can't see it. It looks dark. And if the seal is above them in the water, it's splotchy and it's hard to see. So it's good for them for hunting, but it's also good for them for protection against like orcas and sharks and things like that. What do you think is the reason the baby stays white for so long? What do you think is the reason? Give me that answer. All right. If you said the baby stays white so it can blend in with its environment because it's white behind it and helps it stay, predators don't see it, that's your answer. The Arctic fox. Arctic fox in the spring and summer, the warmer months, has a brownish color, has a darker color. And when it gets cold and there's more snow on the ground, it will blend in. Its fur will change color and be a lighter color. So the factors that affect gene expression are temperature, sunlight, the pH, acidy or basy, like the soil can be acid or basic, the cells around the environment, all right? If you put some stem cells around heart cells, they'll become heart cells. Food is very important. The type of food and nutrients we get are very important. And pathogens, viruses and bacteria can affect genes. So yeah, so here's another example. So here we have Gavin. He's lifting all sorts of weights. Just because he goes get big and strong doesn't mean his baby will be like that. Okay, if he has kids, it's not their kids aren't going to grow up to be all muscle bound. They might be a little large, but they're not going to get big like that. All right, to pass things down to our children, they have to change our genes, and of course, same for women. Hi. And different cells in different parts of the body express different genes of the genome. All right. Nerve cells turn on or express the genes to produce neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are proteins. Pancreatic cells turn on or express genes to be pancreatic cells, like they turn on the gene to produce insulin. So here's a question. What specific genes might a white blood cell express? All right, and that's it for gene expression. Okay, don't forget you need to go on to Castle Learning. There is a gene expression assignment to do. So once you're done with that, once done with this lesson here, make sure you go on there and complete that. Okay, bye-bye.